started stuttering in second grade. It really wore on me. I really developed this thing that there's something I was different. There was something wrong with me. The first time I drank, I didn't stutter when I was a senior in college. I finally got help for my stuttering. They referred me to a speech therapist who filmed me and showed me that I was not breathing. That was partly why I was stuttering. And so I learned to breathe.
It's a very good skill during your course of your life.
Right. Here's the fascinating thing, though. When you get sober and you go to meetings, somebody says, would you read this? Would you read this? It was the reading that really freaked me out. I just got more anxious about that. I started to go in late, or I'd sit the other end of the room. One day, slid the book the whole way down the end of the table. It was at a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. Says, Todd, will you read this? And I'd mastered this stuttering because I'd learned that technique, breathing. But I stuttered the whole way through it. Then I confessed at the meeting. It changed everything.
Green lights and blue skies are on their way. Yeah, they're on their way.
Hi there, Corey Rabin here. Welcome to Crosstalk, another episode of the leading podcast for recovery, for people who want to get sober, find out how we did it, and we stay sober. There was a very well-known book, bestseller, called The Bible that told a lot about its stories, and stories are the way we learn. Today is January 9th, 2024, and on this day, 50 years ago, my guest celebrated his first day of sobriety, and today he's celebrating 50 years. A dear friend of mine, somebody I love so much, somebody who's helped me and so many people. Please welcome Todd Whitmer. Todd, welcome to Crosstalk.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you for that introduction too. That was really sweet.
I'm so honored that everybody is grabbing for some of your time today, and you are giving a little bit of your time today to our listeners and to me, and I'm grateful for that. So Todd, what we want to do is we want to just find out about Todd Whitmer and how it is that you've come to the place that you are right now, a leader of people who are sober, a power of example to me and to so many people. So how did it start? And tell us where you were and where you are.
Okay. Okay. Well, I always talk about what happened 2 days before I got clean and sober, but it's such a story that I want to maybe save that. And I don't want to get into that story too much because it's kind of a funny story, but it's a sad story and a tragic story in many ways. But it was a beginning story. So I don't want to quite do that yet.
Okay.
I'm not sure why.
All right. So where do you want to start? If you want, you can actually start with how things are right now. And then there are a lot of very successful Broadway shows that go backwards.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just want to congratulate you because I think what you're doing in this podcast and how you're interviewing people and you're putting it out there for anybody who wants to look at it, I think it's really, really a great service. And I've enjoyed watching the ones that I've watched, and I know a lot of the people that you've interviewed, and I think it's really, really a great thing, and a credit to your camera folks too, to Serge and all that. So congratulations.
Thank you. At the end of the day, we all are taught about 12 steps. Some people find that to be the way to go. Other people not. Doesn't really matter how you get sober as long as you get sober. But for me, giving it away is the only way that I can keep it. And this is one of the ways that I can be of service and to feel like I'm adding something, to the mix. And if I can help one person with somebody watching our interview today, it's worth everything to me.
Well, you're going to help more than one person. I mean, I like that phrase that people say, but you're helping a lot of people for sure. You've helped me.
Works both ways.
Yeah. So here we are in New York City. I mean, that's really cool. That's really cool for me to be in New York City. I know you're from here, so you've already got it in your heritage and everything. But I think one of the magical things for me in my journey in recovery was to be able to come and work in New York City, in the greatest city in the world. You know, I was burglarizing drugstores, not many, but I was burglarizing drugstores in my addiction. And so to, you know, have an office and have a role and have connections, really good connections, people connections, recovery connections in New York City has been one of the greatest gifts.
Over decades.
To my recovery. About 15 years I've been in New York, pretty much off and on. So that is, you know, that's something that I never would have thought could have possibly happened in my growing up times and all that.
And a lot of your life has been spent in the field of recovery services and helping other people.
Yeah, I got sober, like you said, 1974. And at that time, you know, the whole treatment world was, you know, just pretty crazy. It wasn't well organized. There was Hazleton, there was Chit Chat, there was
Smithers,
Daytop, there was
Smithers was in New York.
Synanon, there was Smithers, yeah. But I went to a place in Pennsylvania that was a real high confrontation place, and I was there because I didn't want to go to jail. I was in trouble with the law. I had a felony charge and conspiracy charges, and I was looking at pretty serious time. So I, you know, went to this treatment center, and I decided to stay out of jail. So I did everything that they told me to do. And after about a year, meanwhile, you know, I went to meetings and I met people that were pretty much like me, and we had a lot of fun, you know, staying sober. And I thought, that's weird. How can that be? You know?
Right.
But I got an opportunity to be a counselor aide at the treatment center where I went for help. And then I decided, well, maybe I'll get more involved with this. So yeah, I've really been in the addiction treatment recovery career basically for at least 48 years of that, 50 years.
Is one of the things you get from being in that field, do you feel like it sustains your own sobriety as well as, you know, guiding other people?
Well, of course, when you're, you know, working with people and around people, you certainly are aware of the insanity of addiction and how it affects people. But I learned really early that you have to have your recovery outside of your work. Your work is not keeping you sober. Your work is not the way to, you know, maintain sobriety. And I've seen people get too much into, well, I don't need to go to meetings. I don't need to do other stuff. I'm seeing it every day. So yes and no, I guess I'd say with that. But my recovery has basically been outside of it's important for me to keep it outside of my work.
Right.
I still go to meetings today. You know, I was at a Zoom meeting yesterday morning at 6 a.m.
Right.
So
they were
I
beginning.
go to meetings every day. I'm not like, you know.
Right. It's not not every day, but you're still connected, and you're connected to the things that got you where you are.
Yeah. I don't talk about my work and meetings. I stay connected in that way.
Right. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about you personally and your journey, not necessarily your breaking and entering or anything you might want to, because if I'm listening to this and I don't know who you are, I want to know how the hell you got to the point where you're happy, you live purposefully. I know personally you have amazing relationships, both, you know, on the professional level and personal level. How the hell do you do that? Mm-hmm. How does that work?
Yeah. I think it's it's a good question. I guess, you know, I think recovery is a journey of personal growth, right? You know, you just, number one, stay sober a day at a time, and then you do some work around it. And I've had a lot of therapy, you know, over the years. I did 4 rounds of Jungian analysis with, you know, true Jungian. I wasn't the analyzer, I was the patient, you know. That was really super helpful to me. But, you know, working the steps and, just being honest and it's important. It's been important to me, I guess. It's interesting you ask that question because I think I was in college, in the 60s. So college in the 60s. I was a searcher, I took courses in Oriental philosophy and Zen Buddhism, and I wanted to. I knew there was more to what was going on than what I was living. On some level, I knew that, even though I was living just the suburban Pennsylvania, Lancaster, Pennsylvania kind of life, I guess, in terms of growing up, Eagle Scout, acolyte in church, a family that was, parents were together. But it was the 60s, and I'm so grateful to be as old as I am because it means that I was alive during that incredible period of time, from the, I bought all the Beatles albums from the record store downtown. It was the day they came out, played Sgt. Pepper with my best friend, and listened to it and tried to figure out the words together. That first day it was out. So marched against the war in Vietnam like 8 times in DC, which was interesting. That's an interesting thing to think about recovery or not recovery, but addiction. Because in the early days of the marches against the war in Vietnam, it was amazing. So that's probably 60, the moratoriums were, I think, 68 or 69, maybe 60, yeah. And it was all kinds of people, there was spiritual people, there was religious people, there was attorneys, there was professionals, and there were, hippies, long hair, protesters and singers and all that. And over the years, 3 or 4 years of those marches, it just got to be, don't drink any of the wine in the green Gallo bottle. Will so-and-so please come to the acid tent? It just, that diversity of people that were all about making changes. Mm-hmm. And I was part of both, but I was seduced by drugs for sure, using everything that there was to use.
Well, you were at an age where, it's easier to get influenced by that than, I think when you're very young or much older, but anybody is susceptible to that.
Yeah. But it was an exciting time to be alive, we had what we called a commune that I kind of was part of. It wasn't really a commune, but it was a bunch of people living together on a farm.
Right, in Pennsylvania?
In Pennsylvania, yeah, outside of Lancaster. Really trying to talk about all the stuff that's happening now. We were trying to eat organic food. We were trying to grow our own stuff. We were growing our own pot.
Right.
But it was a very exciting time to live. And, that was one of the hardest things, I think, when I stopped drinking and stopped using, because the place I went to was so high confrontation. They said, you must cut off all your friends, everybody, nobody, you can't, they're all going to take you back to your
Were you able to do that?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And looking back, was that a mistake or was that a good thing?
Well, it wasn't. It was like, I think it was too either or, It wasn't like everybody that I knew was.
It was black and white.
Yeah. This is my friend Gene, who I lost. He died 3 months ago. And he moved to our street when we were 8 years old. He's 14 days older than me. Same month, and we did everything together. Shoveled snow, rode bikes, the whole thing, up through high school. He went to Catholic high. I went to the public schools, and we kind of got separated there. And then he joined the Marines, and I was protesting, and we kind of lost contact. And he had not a horrible time. He had he was in Vietnam, and he saw things. He saw his mates get killed. And I wasn't there for him, you know. I was in my own fucking world. I'm so grateful that we reconnected, but it was several years later. So there was a period of like, and he wasn't somebody that I thought I had to cut away from, you know, when I went to treatment. But it was an example of, you know, everybody's different, everybody's unique. Every relationship is unique. And yeah, somebody, well, you know, on our commune, for instance, we had one guy, and he was as crazy as all of us. And I remember he went hitchhiking. We hitchhiked a lot, and he went away for about a week. And he came back, and he'd been picked up by I don't know, somebody who convinced him that stop using drugs. And he came back, and he was full of the fire of, you know, we got to stop this. You know, this is killing us. And you know, we worked so hard for at least maybe a day and a half to get him high. You know, because he was telling the truth that we didn't want to hear.
How'd it go?
How'd it go for him?
Were you successful?
Oh, yeah.
It's much easier to go that way than the way we've gone.
Right. Anyway, but yeah, so my friend, you know, when he came back from Vietnam, he lived in the desert in New Mexico. And, you know, a couple months ago, about 2 weeks after he died, I went out there. I was there for a conference, but I went to the area where he lived, and I bought this this piece as a reminder because you know, that was a true friendship, man. And I'm so grateful that we reconnected. Probably when we were both like 35, maybe, and you'll never look back then.
I'm sorry you lost him, but I'm glad you had that relationship.
Yeah.
Sounds like one of those, you know, meaningful ones, once in a lifetime time of friendships.
Yeah, without a doubt.
You have a lot of that.
I do.
You do? I do. You and I didn't know each other back in the 80s,
right?
But we knew people in common.
Shelley.
Yeah, Shelley was the guy.
Shelley.
Yep. He wrote a book called The Samaritan Solution, Shelley Barron.
Okay, are you in it?
I'm not in it, no, but I could have been in it, but he was too, you know, proper.
Didn't have any case studies.
Yeah.
Maybe, but
it was a case study.
A little bit of you in there.
Yeah, possibly. It was a good book. He was a solid guy, and
yeah.
Anyway, you know, you have those relationships in life. You almost don't know when they're going on, just how critical and important they are in the arc of your life.
Yeah.
So now, not to get into the nitty-gritty of stuff.
A bunch of stuff there, but
so you grew up in a really nice. Mom and dad were home, good education, went to college.
All white. You know, yeah, suburb of Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Right, and so. Were you discontent? Is that what led you to start dabbling into substances, or was it just something that everybody was doing?
Combination of the two. Not everybody was doing it, but I was drawn to the people that were doing it.
Yeah, I have no idea what that's about.
You know, we were on the edge of getting in trouble. That was, you know, when I got my first arrest for underage drinking. You know, I cut out, they didn't put our names in it because we were underage, but I cut out the newspaper and I kept my wallet. That was
the badge of honor.
That was as cool as being like a quarterback, you know, football team. You know, I wasn't,
Your sweater had stripes.
But I was a stutterer, so that's the other thing. I started stuttering in second grade, and it really wore on me, and there wasn't a whole lot of help for that. I get good grades, like except speaks fluently, X. So I really developed this thing that there's something I was different. There was something wrong with me, and maybe the first time I drank, the first couple of times I drank, the first 6 months I drank, I didn't stutter, perhaps, maybe. So I think there was, and basically it was all about just relaxing. I finally got help for my stuttering when I was a senior in college, and you had to take speech in order to graduate. So can you imagine second grade through 14 more years of this feeling like there's something wrong with me?
So today, I've seen you 100 times as the MC in front of hundreds of people at events. And the last thing that you listen to me stuttering, the last thing that I would think that you would have difficulty doing is speaking, because you seem so comfortable in front of a mic. So you took that course and all of a sudden, boom, it was no problem, or over a period of time you got more comfortable?
You know, what's interesting is I took the course, and but then they referred me to a speech therapist who filmed me and showed me the film and showed me that I was not breathing, and that was partly why I was stuttering. And so I learned to breathe. It was as simple as that.
It's a very good skill during your course of your life.
Right. And but here's the fascinating thing, though. This is the part that's recovery oriented. So, you know, when you get sober and you go to meetings and, you know, you go in the room and, you know, somebody says, would you read this? Would you read this? It was the reading that really freaked me out. It wasn't so much the speaking, because I could decide what words I was going to say, but I just got more anxious about that. So I started to go in late, so I wasn't there when they passed the book around, or I'd sit the other end of the room. So eventually, that would have taken me out, I'm sure. And one day, for some reason, the chair slid the book the whole way down the end of the table. It was at a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. Says, Todd, will you read this? So I was probably sober maybe 9 months or a year. And I'd mastered this stuttering because I'd learned that technique, you know, of breathing. But I stuttered the whole way through it. And then I confessed at the meeting, you know, and it changed everything. But I still had to learn about breathing and all that. And I'm really glad that you said that, because I do enjoy, you know, but you are an inspiration to me in terms of the way you handle yourself and the way that you speak about things.
How'd we get on me all of a sudden?
No, it's true. I was thinking about how funny you are, you know. I said, I want to be more funny in this next 50 years. That's what I'm thinking.
You know, the thing is that, you know, there are certain things that we do that make us lose track of time.
Oh, yeah.
Laughing is one of those things that you can't do enough of.
Right.
It just feels so good. It's a little like dancing.
Yeah.
You know, stuff that makes you just, you know, that's what I was looking for when I was getting high.
Yeah.
I was looking for something that kind of took me outside. Today, laughing, fortunately for everyone else, I'm not doing a lot of dancing, because that would make everyone else laugh.
Well.
But laughing is great. And you know, I took a stand-up comedy course this summer.
I know. It's
so much fun doing that.
It's wow.
I was a little off-put by when we had our charity event that no one said, Corey, come on up here.
You only were sitting. I sat you right in the front row. You could have just jumped up there. You know,
you gave me,
I was giving you everything I could. I couldn't.
You did good. You did good.
I figured that you'd get in some kind of a banner with.
And the crazy thing is that night, a comedian. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of him.
What's his name?
Seinfeld.
He was on that show, right?
Right. He's Larry David's guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he showed up that night and did 15 minutes of hysterical stuff.
He was good.
Yeah, so, you know, I've learned that it's probably a good idea not to follow a guy like that.
I know, he would have been on earlier, probably.
Exactly.
And we didn't know he was coming till the very last minute that night.
Yes, what a great surprise.
So, you know, this particular band is Greg's Gift and Karen. And, you know, Greg's Gift, of course, is our comedy night that we've been doing for the Greg Grossman Fund, the Scholarship Fund. And, you know, wow. What a... It could have been us, right? I mean, I overdosed. This other kind of semi-commune place that I hung out. You know, one day this guy came over and he said, I got some really good coke. And at that time I was shooting up stuff. And he says, here, let's do it. So you know, there were 3 of us, I think, 4 of us. And gave me a shot. And next thing I know was my head, you know, bouncing on the floor coming out of a seizure. that had never happened before. So this was probably 1973, 72 maybe. And I said, okay, that's it. No more. I'm never going to do this shit again, you know. That's it. And, you know, nobody like said, hey, you should go to the hospital or whatever. Went in the other room, sat down, got my shit together sort of, and one guy walked through with a roach, you know. Oh, well, I can just take a little hit off of that.
Yeah.
But, you know, Greg Grossman died of an accidental overdose. And what a tragedy, what a beautiful man. So to be part of, you know, helping to honor his legacy and to raise money for scholarships.
For young people.
For young people, and to meet his sister Meredith and his mother Susan and his sister Tolly and their family and their kids. You know, to me, that has been one of the most meaningful things that I've been involved with in terms of my, I mean, that's my career, but it also touches something really, really, really deep in me. You know?
And for any of our listeners who are wondering when they can get involved with that, Greg Grossman's scholarship, Greg's Gift it's called, is at the Gotham Comedy Club every fall. And if you want to reach out over Crosstalk, we'll tell you all about that if you want to come laugh a little bit and enjoy helping other people.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of good stuff you do, Todd.
Thanks.
And we got our buddy Neil Lasher.
Well, you know, this is Neil here. I got to get something different for Neil. I got to find something, maybe like something that has more music to it. But I found this just to have something for him. But you know, and you knew Neil as well, and we lost Neil to COVID, of course, at the very beginning of the pandemic. And you know, talk about coming to New York and sitting across. He was on the board of Karen New York, and I was sort of in charge. I was the staff person, kind of in charge of the board, and not in charge of them, but to work with them. And here's this guy sitting across from me, and his white hair, and wearing a scarf, and who's that guy, you know? And then he says, I can't be in this meeting. I'm going to the Yankees game. And then I texted him and I said, go Yankees, because I am a Yankees fan. So even though I'm a Phillies fan and an Eagles fan. But Mickey Mantle, Mickey Mantle was in my childhood. So that's how fucking old I am.
I'm not that
that's
much.
How old I am.
I'm around the same age.
I was around when
Mickey
Roger.
who?
I was around when Roger and Mickey were kicking it out, man. I remember that year.
Yeah, 61.
Yeah.
The M&M boys.
Yeah. But so I texted him and I said, hey, have a great game. And he says, who is this? So I said who I was, you know, and then I came over to his office and met him. And, you know, we just really clicked. He was my age, long-term recovery, worked in the music business all his life. And, you know, talk about having fun in recovery and doing just amazing things together.
A lot of music.
A lot of music stuff, yeah.
All of these things one can do, feel comfortable, and stay sober.
Without a doubt.
It's incredible.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt, yeah.
And Neil, Bill Tuderberg, I was talking to about, 6-7 years ago, and he said, I want you to meet this guy, Neil Lasher. I didn't know who he was. And we had several lunches at which he kind of gave me a lot of guidance on doing interventions, which I studied to do, and he really knew how to do it. He knew how to help people. He knew how to cut through the bullshit. He was a solid guy, and he was one of your best friends.
Yeah, he was a brother to me.
As if you don't do enough. With Greg's Gift and other things, we have the Neil Lasher Foundation to help musicians, people in the music business, not just people in front, people behind and everything in the middle who can't afford treatment to get treatment, good treatment.
Yeah. So Neil loved helping people, and he loved music, and he loved people in the music business.
Yep.
So, you know, working with Neil's life partner, Jill Jordan, and putting together a founders board in honor of Neil and raising money and helping a lot of people has been another really, 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 really meaningful thing for me. And So yeah, thanks for reminding me about that or bringing that up.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The first 50 years are the hardest.
I heard that at my meeting, my Monday morning meeting, which is in London. So I'm on, with our friend Vicky. So I'm 6 a.m. for me. It's 11 for them. But I talked about it yesterday, and I said, 50 years tomorrow. And the one guy says, when I got my first year, he says, 1 year is no mean feat. Being sober 1 year, that's no mean feat. And it's so true. I mean, that first year, that first 6 months, that first 3 months, when everything is so foggy and, just...
And for people listening to this who are trying to see how to do it, 1 day is a miracle, too.
1 day is a miracle.
That wasn't the easiest thing to do. How many times did I try to have 1 day?
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to do it.
Yeah. It's, really for me, 50 years continuous. I haven't had a relapse yet. But it was really the law. It was really the threat of jail. It was really, I didn't want to go to Rockville State Penitentiary.
Shelley
scared the shit of that.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So I did everything you could do. So it wasn't like I'm going to do this recovery thing.
Shelley used to talk about leverage.
Yeah.
Leverage being really important, whether it's the leverage of a spouse or a parent or sibling or an employer or the law.
The law.
It's all kinds of ways you get motivated to get your shit together.
Yeah, the law was big for me. For sure.
Yeah. I like the idea of being alive. I had OD'd in 1982, and after coming to, I noticed that there was a black kind of a contractor's garbage bag with my clothes in it. And I remember when early days I used to qualify at meetings, I used to say, well, I knew my father dressed me to get to the hospital because there was a striped jacket and plaid pants.
Oh my God.
Because he couldn't do that. But I took the bag out, and in the pants I found 2 Quaaludes.
Wow.
And I had just overdosed.
Uh-huh.
And what did I do?
Oh my God, of course.
I took 2 Quaaludes.
Yeah.
It was at that moment I realized that there might be a problem.
Right.
Yeah, that was a couple of weeks before I entered treatment.
Yeah. I remember Quaaludes. Yeah, I hear you, man. It's the whole thing of hitting bottom and all that. What does that mean, really? It's such a. I don't like that phrase because I don't think anybody has to hit bottom. I think what is a bottom? It really depends upon the person. It's a
turning point.
It's a turning point. It's as Christopher Kennedy, last name was
Christopher Kennedy?
Yeah, no, Christopher.
You having like a senior moment now?
Yeah. Moments of clarity, the book Moments of Clarity.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what you're talking about.
Yes.
Who do I mean?
It's okay. I knew you have it together.
You know who I mean, though,
trying to laugh. Yes, I do. I just don't remember the book.
His name.
I'm too old.
You're not going to say his name.
I would tell you the name if I knew it, but I can't
Lawford.
remember. There you go. That's right. That's Kennedy's relationship.
Peter Lawford.
Good book. He's
Peter
got
Lawford's.
those 16 different rules. Different.
But he has stories of moments of clarity. That's another one. He's had a couple books. Yeah, but anyway,
it's a really good book.
It is. But I think that's the point of. I guess I want to just say that in terms of. When you have those moments of clarity that you're talking about with those 2 Quaaludes, I had that moment of clarity when I'm laying on the floor coming out of a fucking seizure, but I didn't try to grab a hold of it. So, I think that's what, instead of bottoms, we should be talking about moments of clarity. And
I like that.
And heightening the awareness of that.
So in terms of, this has been a very different interview than we've had before. And I think it's really wonderful that we're kind of going outside the box, because this is really, it kind of defines what Crosstalk is all about, which is just back and forth, exchanging ideas, things, people that we remember, times that we remember. This is perfect. It couldn't be more perfect. In terms of the day that we're enjoying today, which is the day that you celebrate 50 years of sobriety. Sergio, do you have some? I'd love to show Todd and our listeners something, a surprise that I have for you. And I don't exactly know how this is going to look on camera, but it's going to feel really good to me.
Okay.
So our producer, Sergio, is about to unveil something that I want to share with you and everybody else.
Uh-oh.
If he,
I hope I like it. I like it.
The nice thing about this is we can edit this, so it doesn't have to be
I
really.
I hope it's something that.
I think you're going to like it. I do. You might not like all of it, but you like some of it.
Okay, all right. That's life.
Yeah, it's very true. Very true. It's probably going to be the first of other celebrations you'll have today. But the idea to me of celebrating who you are, not just the amount of time. By the way, do you have some kind of thing in your pocket?
My coin?
You have a coin.
50-year coin that.
I've never seen one of these.
I've never seen it either. So, yeah. I mean,
it has an L on it.
It has an L,
right?
Yeah, which is the Roman
Check
numeral.
this out.
Roman numeral.
Can anybody see that?
Roman numeral for 50.
It says,
which I had forgot.
To thine own self be true.
Which I love.
Unity, service, recovery, and...
All right. I'm sorry.
We're going to take a break from the coin because we're ready for this surprise.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
It looks like if it's from my most favorite bakery in New York City, then, oh my gosh, look at that. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
Now, we have to show our people that are watching this what we're looking at.
Oh, wow.
Okay, toss that box. Check this out.
You devil.
It says, congratulations, Todd, 50 and counting.
That's it. Oh my gosh, that's gorgeous. That's beautiful. Oh my God.
It's a heavy cake.
Wow.
Now, you don't have to tell everybody what you're wishing, but I'll shut up for a moment.
Well, I did buy a lottery ticket for today.
Priority.
But I shouldn't wish for that.
I don't think that's good. Let me hold this to give you a little easier time of thinking about it. Yeah, let's not go there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I've got a good one. I've got a really good one. All right. Now I blow the candle out, right?
Yeah, I think blowing the candle out would be a good job.
Wow.
Very nice. Very nice. And there we are.
Congratulations, Todd.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to put this down. We'll have a little bit later.
Wait, you're supposed to...
No, I don't think we planned on that. That wouldn't be a bad idea for the camera.
That'd be good.
That'd be too messy.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, I saw when Tommy Smothers died. I've tuned in a couple of the YouTubes.
Yeah.
One with Dan Rowan when I guess his brother, Tommy's brother, was a race car driver, so he wasn't on. It was the very last show. That they cut. No, of the Smothers brothers. They had a great thing with the pie. You got to see it. Really good with the pie.
I love Tommy Smothers. I love you, so I wanted to do something that would, kind of recognize the momentous accomplishment you have. And even though we all know it's today, we can't really trade on yesterday. It's still something very unusual, and it's so inspiring to everyone. I have a little time, but people that are coming in that see that others can do something like you've done one day at a time for 50 years, if you can do it, then the next guy can do it. That's how this thing works. And, you just by your continuing to show up, and of course, everything else that you do on top of that, it's not just the time, it's what you do with your time. And it's amazing. It really is amazing. I'm very, very lucky that I know you and that we've become close friends over the last several years.
I feel the same way, Corey. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate you're really good at giving gifts that are meaningful. You've given me these socks. These are yellow submarine socks that Corey gave me for Christmas, our first Christmas together. I don't really like the song Yellow Submarine. It's not a really great Beatles song.
Well, it's Ringo.
It's a kid's song. Sorry, Ringo, if you're watching, but I love you, Ringo. I love you so much.
He loves all the living Beatles.
But I love this picture. What a great picture of
It
the
is.
submarine, man. You gave me this.
Yeah,
And-
they were
and you-
from
and
Happy
you-
Socks.
And you made a picture when I was telling my story at the Improv, and I sent you that picture, and you
Wow, was
blow
it-
it up for me. And
Wasn't that beautiful?
yeah, it was really.
That was just like an artistic silhouette.
yeah.
It was really, I don't even know how my eye caught that, but it's really an interesting shot.
Yeah.
But that's one of the times you were up on stage and doing what Todd does, which
Yeah.
is help everybody go in the right direction.
Yeah. Thanks.
So you're going out for dinner with some friends?
So let me just say one
Yeah.
other thing, because in terms of what this crosstalk is about, and one of the it's many layered crosstalk, but one of the strong layers is that it is crosstalk. You don't crosstalk in AA meetings, I mean, it's you said it right there with the title, and. I haven't been like a regular attender of AA all those 50 years. I've obviously I've gone to a lot of meetings, and especially in early recovery, I went to a lot of meetings every day. But I've always had some kind of a community of connection. And that to me is what's been important. For years, I had a men's group, and we were all in recovery, but we didn't. Maybe the other guys went to meetings, I didn't, but that was my meeting once a week. But we all worked as professionals in the field, and also were in recovery. So, that was a time of kind of the men's movement, Robert Bly, I don't know if you remember that era, a lot of really cool things from then. But that was my support group for probably 15 years of that 50. Maybe I went to a couple meetings here and there if I needed to, or, because someone was having an anniversary. So I guess I just want to say that it's, yeah, meetings, I find a lot. I love meetings today. I didn't always love meetings.
Sure.
But it's the community that I love, and it's the relationships that I love, and that's the kind of thing that we have together. And the space, I call it it's you can't see it, but there's a space here that we have together, and that's sacred.
The interesting thing is if somebody asks you, what the main difference between active addiction and sobriety, there's a lot of differences, and some of it's very obvious, the way somebody looks, dresses, how their eyes appear, how they're doing in their life with relationships and with business and things like that. But the thing that really is the pinpoint for me is the isolation of active addiction. And when people get sober, the constant is connection. The constant is that you have people around with whom you can share what's going on in your life honestly. And that's not something that one who is in active addiction, who's using, whether it's abusing or in an addictive way, you don't do that. You don't do that. Yeah, you may be partying with a lot of people, but it's still isolating.
Right.
And so for me, the transition into being happy and sober is connecting, and that's what we do with one another. And if there's a single thing that I point to, that's it. And Randall used to say that, I'm sure he stole it from somebody, but he used to say that connection is the opposite of active addiction. That's what we do. We connect with one another, and you said it earlier today, the capacity to be honest is how it works. If you're able to be
let's call it to be honester.
Honester with yourself.
To be honester.
Yeah.
Keep on being honester.
Right.
Just keep on
That's
being.
really more honest.
Just keep right. You can always be more honest. So honestering on the trudge.
Well, I want to warn our producer here, Sergio, that I'm going to ask Todd to stand up now. Usually we get pictures of the guest and my butt when we do this, so I'm hoping that we can somehow raise the camera above butt level so that I can give you a big hug.
Okay.
Can we do that?
Sure.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Go ahead.
Okay.
We both made it.
Love you, man. Thank
Love
you
you
so
too.
much.